Hello, hello. How is everyone doing? I hope everyone is feeling amazing on this Wednesday. Welcome to Live with Nana, and hello from wherever you might be tuning in. If you are joining me live, definitely pop up in the comments, say a hello, let me know you're in the building, let me know where you're hitting me from. Um, Today, we're going to have an amazing conversation. Just pretend you're here with me in my living room on my couch because this is where I am. This is where I do my lives. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about my path, my career, my origin story, and how I got to this space of style and image and doing the work that I do for some phenomenal women who are stepping up so courageously and boldly in the way that they present themselves. And so, of late, I've had some conversations with folks, and they're always like, wait, so how did you get into this? Like, how did this all happen? And I'm like, girl, I heard the story before. Right? Sometimes you know the story because you lived it, and sometimes you think you talk about it all the time. But the reality is there's so many people who haven't heard it, whether they might be new to your community, or you've just recently met them at a conference, etc. Right? But it's always a great time to share about your personal story, your journey, your career. And so if that's something that you haven't done in a while, I invite you to share a little bit more about yourself, maybe in an upcoming post or live. All right, so let's get into it. From management consultant to image consultant, how sway, how Nana, how did it go down? So here's the deal. My parents are from Ghana in West Africa. And so I had a choice of recommended professions to go into when I left college, right? I was going to be either a doctor or a nurse, or an attorney, or an engineer. Those were like top three, right? Fun fact, I wanted to be a television producer. But my parents and other family members were like, what's that? You ain't gonna make no money. You need to do something else, maybe in business, etc. So I graduated, and they knew about a company called IBM. Obviously, I knew too. And they were like, yeah, that works. Go work there. So I found out about management consulting, which is a field I had never heard anything about. But I like the fact that you got to work with different clients, you could travel, and it seemed like I had options to explore, and that every day could potentially be a little bit different, which very much fit with my personality and my need for spontaneity as well as stability. Okay, feel me? So I went to IBM and I worked as a management consultant, and I was there for about 7 years. And I loved many aspects of it. The first half of my career was dope. I was traveling. I was like, yes, I'm going to be that Black woman traveling my high powered suit and heels with my suitcase, running through these airport streets, right? And when I was in these spaces, I was very intentional about just being me with my style. I always loved style. My mom was stylish. I saw her going to work all the time when I was coming up, and she was always on point. And in college, I was stylish as well. Always like to wear unique things and just have in my own way of presenting myself that was authentic to me. And so I did the same thing when I entered corporate America. Now, the woman that you see before you here, rocking my dashiki and rocking the dope hat, I wasn't doing all of this in 2004 and 5 when I entered into the workplace. Okay. I still wanted to make a great impression. I wanted to be seen as professional. I wanted to climb the corporate ladder. I wanted to fit in, right? I didn't want to ruffle. I wanted to stand out and fit in. You know what I mean? Like I wanted to be different and noticed so that I could climb up the ladder further and more with more expedience, but also I wanted to fit into the space, and I wanted people to like me and wanted people to, you know, call on me and think about me when opportunities came up. So I was rocking black suits and navy suits, like I still had those things, but I always put a little something different with it. Like you was gonna get a pink shoe, or, it's going, oh, I got a black blazer, but I got some pink pants. Or, oh, I'm gonna put a little head wrap on with this. Or, oh, mom just came back from Ghana. She has some cool jewelry. Like, I'm gonna wear this with it. So I always put my own little spin on it. You know what I mean? Um, and so in doing that, people took notice. People always comment about my style, and just my overall presence. And that was something that became attached to the way in which I interacted with clients. And people would talk about my energy and my able to connect with people, and my communication skills, and all of these elements that just really led to me having a really confident presence, and as a young consultant, right? And so all of these things came to be a part of my presence and my leadership presence in the workplace. So while I was working, things were cool. We was jamming out. Then, I wanted to do some other things. Like I always had a love and interest in working in fashion. And I was like, maybe I want to do something over there on the side, et cetera, et cetera. But the big tipping point came when one of my colleagues told me how severely underpaid I was in my role. Okay. And at that time, I was starting to feel unfulfilled as well in what I was doing in my position, right? I wanted to do something else. I was trying to move around internally. I was like, I just want to do a different thing, but I couldn't figure out what the different thing was within the organization. Then when I found out how severely underpaid I was in comparison to new college and hires that were coming in the door, I said, oh, no, 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 and started to look outside the company. So I was like, oh, man, trying to work at other consulting companies, going through rounds of interviews. No, no. I started applying at jobs within the fashion industry because I was like, oh, maybe I can try to make this work. No, no. So I'm getting all these no's. Then an opportunity came with one of my friends from college. Hey, Portia. One of my friends from college, she's a vocalist, she's a singer, and she was having a photo shoot for a new album that she was putting out. So her manager, which is her brother and my friend at that time, hey, Alana, um, they approached me and said, Nana, we think you'd be a great stylist for this photo shoot. And I said, dope. What's that mean? Like, you just want me to buy her the clothes? Because mind y'all, this was like early 2000s, no Instagram, no TikTok, the internet, Microsoft Explorer was just chirping up, okay? And so there wasn't all of these resources about these creative industries. And I thought, stylists, that's just something for celebrities. The only stylists I knew were June Ambrose and Rachel Zoe. I was like, nobody else has a stylist. So I did a little bit of research. We had this whole brainstorming creative session. I said, cool. I know what we're going for in these 3 different looks. I'll go shopping. I was buying things on my credit card. Big no-no if you're a stylist. I didn't know no better. So I was just like, this is going to be amazing. And it was my friend, and I was committed to her being successful in this shoot being amazing for her. So we had the shoot, and I loved the entire experience. I was like, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Okay. This lights me up. So the photographer loved me as well, said I was amazing, was surprised that it was my first styling job because I was like, I don't do this. I'm about to go back to work on Monday. And he started to refer me to other clients. So I styled a couple of commercials. Anybody remember Just For Me? Just For Me. Remember that, the hair care products? Are they still out? I don't know. But I did a commercial. I styled a commercial for them. That bombed, did not go well. We're going to talk about that in another episode. But I started styling a couple other musicians, some successes, bunch of failures, okay? A bunch of crash and burns, a bunch of lessons learned. And the thing about it in terms of like entrepreneurship, for me, I was thrown into it, like as these referrals for these opportunities came, people were like, well, how are we supposed to pay you? Do you have your own business? Do you have a 1099? Like, what's your EIN number? I was like, I don't know what language y'all are talking. I told you I got to go back to work to my real job on Monday. And so I had to deep dive. I was like, I'm about to figure this thing out. So I would be working during the day, and at night I would be at coffee shops, Googling, working on my website, working on services and packages and how to put things together. And I was just in it, working on putting together mood boards using Microsoft PowerPoint, like going to stores and buying things for clients. I was doing all of this after the 9 to 5 and on the weekends. And so I loved this element, and that fueled me even more to be like, you know what? I'll just go out and do this on my own. Like, I'm trying to get into the fashion industry. They're like, we don't understand how your management consulting experience fits into being a buyer or a merchandiser. We don't get it. Keep it stepping. And I was like, well, forget y'all. After I cried, I was like, forget y'all. I'm going to figure it out myself. And so I said, okay, I will start my own business. And so Badoo Basics was born. And I started to do all of those styling projects that I mentioned. But still, I maintained my job at IBM because there is a lifestyle that was established that I was not going to compromise at that moment in my life. So fast forward a little bit. At this time when I was working in IBM, failed to mention this in this part of the story, that I was in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, DMV. Shout out to my DMVers. And I told y'all I was underpaid and unfulfilled. And so I said, I got to make a change. So I got an opportunity to take a contracting opportunity with Deloitte in California, in Sacramento. And so I took it. I moved across the country. I knew not a soul in Sacramento, but I needed a change. And there is clearly a certain comfort level that I have with taking risks that if you are an entrepreneur, you understand. Okay. And I think that quite honestly, any career you choose, there is a certain level of a healthy, calculated risk that you need to have in order to grow. There has to be an element of you that's just like, I'm going to do it, especially if you are feeling unfulfilled, especially if you're underpaid, undervalued. If you're experiencing any of those feelings, sis, let this be the message to you to start taking a risk, to bet on yourself and do something different to change your life. So I moved to California. People were like, Nana, you are crazy. You're going to hate Sacramento. I said, I'm going. So packed up, moved to California. And also, let me say this about the story as well and how the opportunity came, because some people are like, how'd you get the opportunity? So I told you I was knocking on doors. I was knocking on so many doors trying to get a different job and position. I was trying to get a job at other consulting firms. I was trying to get something within the fashion industry. Bunch of no's, okay? Sitting in the cubicle. Remember so deeply, sitting in a cubicle working on a project for TSA, because all of my clients were government agencies, right? I was like, I have got to get out of here. I've got to get out of here. I got an email and they said there is an opportunity doing change management in California. I said, cool. They were like, can you do an interview tomorrow? I said, what time? When I have lunch. Okay. I was like, yeah, I can do it. Went to my car and talked to Michelle. Shout out to Michelle Peregrine. She's phenomenal. She was my first manager and amazing when I was contracting at Deloitte. My first female manager too, I should say, which was very different from having male managers. And yeah, we had a conversation. Next day, the recruiter calls me and said, they loved you. They want to offer you the job. I said, what'd you say now? The way it came with ease, the way it came with ease. I was knocking my head trying to get in a door that was clearly not meant for me to get into. And this door was wide open. I took the interview in my car, probably while I was eating a sandwich. No, I'm not that crazy. But I just took it in the car, just like so nonchalantly, because I felt so beat up that I was like, I don't know if I'm going to get this, but whatever, I'll try. And it opened up with so much ease. Okay. So hope you're getting the nuggets and the gems and the little crumbs that are being put down. All right. Sometimes we be knocking and that door is not open. The other one's behind you. It's wide open. So I went, packed up, moved to California. I was like, awesome. This is amazing. Okay. I was no longer feeling as burnt out. Also, I was no longer a W-2 employee. I was officially a contractor. And I should say this. I was a W-2 employee, but for a contracting company. So it was very different. There are all kinds of different layers around consulting and contracting. I'm not going to get all into the crazy minutia of it. But some of the biggest differences is that I was no longer a full-time employee for a major company where you have obligations around internal activities, recruiting, mentoring, and, hitting sales goals. Like I didn't, and doing everything you need to do for your client, right? Which is very separate. I didn't have any of that anymore. And that was burning me out. It's like 2 jobs in one role and not getting paid enough money for it. So when I became a contractor, I was paid by the hour. I still had my insurance and all of those things. But again, it was a risk and something that I was willing to take on because I realized I needed more time to do other things besides just work. I need to hear that again for myself. Okay. So while I was in Sacramento, I'm having this great career change. I have this amazing manager. And then I had another amazing manager who was a Black woman. And I said, well, who was this fabulous woman? Shout out to Denise Shepard. And that was my first time being like, oh, she is sharp. I see her. She is me. This is great. This is amazing. I was learning so many wonderful things about just navigating the corporate space from her. So one day, Denise came up to me and she said, Nana, I think I need your help. And I'm like, what's up? Talk to me. And she said, I was going for a promotion. I'm going for a promotion at work and my executive presence is on point. Like, I'm sharp, pulled together, got the ideas, feel 100% comfortable rocking in these rooms. But my wardrobe is not where I want it to be. It's not giving the executive vibe. And I was like, I got you. So the consultant in me and the stylist in me came together, right? And I was all like, we are going to put together this amazing package for Denise. And I was all inspired by What Not to Wear. Shout out to those who remember that show with Stacey and Clinton. And I was like, yes, I'm going to come to her house. We're going to go through her closet. I'm going to do shopping, outfits. I'm going to manage everything in these fabulous Excel spreadsheets. Okay. And so we did this awesome process for her. She started showing up consistently on point with her style at work. And some things happened. Her colleagues noticed the shift in her energy and her confidence. She noticed the shift in her energy and her confidence. She was receiving so much more attention and compliments, and the visibility was increasing for her. So needless to say, she got the promotion. But also there was that transformation that happened with her level of conviction in how she was entering these rooms. So people started asking, what's been going on with you? There's been a shift. And she shared that she had worked with me. So again, more referrals started to come through the door. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. I'm getting referred to by some partners, some other managers in this space. But this is different from working with someone in music. and someone who's an entertainer, right? This is an everyday working woman, and she wants to feel at her best in the workplace. This is who I want to serve. These are the women that I want to help. And that's when a shift came in my purpose and mission around Badoo Basics, and that person and my why, and who it was that I wanted to help empower to feel more of themselves and to just be more bold in how they come through at work, and to be less inhibited by the forces of conformity. Okay. And to be more empowered to show up just as you, and to know that that's more than enough. Okay. Yes, Portia, we are so thankful that I made the move. Okay. Nothing but Chris's Johns and Matson Consultant. Listen, every single one of those names conjures up an image of an actual person that I know. Consulting space. Yes, hey Rhonda, the transformation, priceless. Okay. Thank you for the love, Alana. So yes, the forces of conformity, child. So I just was like, oh my gosh, this is the type of woman that I want to serve. And so I just started getting into my research bag, and I was like, wait, I need to learn more about styling, and there's got to be something around how to just understand more about women's body shapes and color, and how I can just really put together and deliver, more for my client, not just based on my experience, because I had been doing a bunch of projects and different things on the side, but I wanted to get some kind of formal training. And then I just realized, like, Nana, this is your time and space. Life was also lifing on the personal front. And sometimes you just get the message of, like, make another move, do the thing. So I decided I'm going to move to New York City. And I want to live in New York City. I've always wanted to live in New York City. Yes, fashion capital of the world. And also just the energy of the city, the fact that I'm around millions of other people pursuing their dreams. Get me there. I want to be amongst them, because I too am pursuing my dreams, right? And so I moved. Okay, I had some friends. Full circle. If you've been with me for the beginning, hopefully you caught this, but the friend from college who I styled, who was a singer, her manager, it was her brother as well. He was living in New York, and he's one of my best friends. And he was like, okay, cool, we're going to get a place. And at the time, he was doing video and all kinds of other cool projects. I was like, yeah, man, we're going to get an apartment. We're going to be creative. Let's go. So hyped. So I moved to New York. And when I moved to New York, I was still working in doing contracting. I made some great relationships with Denise and folks at Deloitte, that I was fortunate enough to get the call when they needed a consultant, and they needed a contractor to come in and do some change management work. So I was able to work remotely. So this whole thing with working remote and a laptop, I know some of y'all just got introduced to it in 2020 because of the pandemic, but your girl been doing it for so long. So long. That's why I got these big ass glasses. Look, I'm in rare form. I'm over here cursing and stuff. It's a mess. No, but I have been doing the remote work element for a really long time. And I feel so blessed that I have that kind of opportunity. And it has allowed me to be agile in my career and make moves and know that I can work anywhere and I can do what I do, and I can generate income. And that's not a small thing to have. That's actually, I think, rare. And so, yes, Alana, I love how naturally your next position came to you by passion. Like you said, those other jobs weren't meant to you. 100%. And it's so funny. I went to lunch the other day with a friend of a friend who had recently moved to New York a couple of months ago, and she wants to do some work in the fashion industry, right? 2 months into New York City. And I was sharing with her my story of how things came to be. And she said, "Oh, so you were meant to be a stylist." And I never thought about it like that. I was just like, "Oh, I think I really enjoy it. I love the transformation. I love helping women." But she was like, "No, that client, they all came to you. Like your friend who was a singer, that opportunity came to you. You didn't seek that out. Your boss who was going for a promotion, she came to you and asked you for your help." And she was like, "And you moved across the country and it still followed you." And I was like, "You got a point." And it's so important to understand how sometimes you're in your head so much. Lean into the voices of people around you that care about you, that will see things that you don't see within yourself. Let's just pause and let that sit for a second. Okay. Um, so when I came to New York, I was all in building this business. And like I said, all in, but also still giving some consulting. Okay. Because I was like, the lifestyle, baby. The business is not fully taken over. But I dove into understanding and researching more about personal styling, less editorial styling, less commercial styling, but really personal styling, and then learning more about image consulting. And image consulting is just really talking about the totality of how you show up, not just in your clothing, but also in your communication skills, in your presence, in your behaviors, your mannerisms, and just that energy, that presence, that thing that keeps you memorable and has you feeling unstoppable when you enter into different rooms and different spaces and opportunities. And it goes way beyond just your clothes. Okay. And so I dove into learning about this, and I found out that FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology in New York City, had a certificate program. And I was like, "Oh, I'm signing up for this thing." And so I signed up for that certificate, and it was an amazing experience. I was able to connect with image consultants from around the world. We had women from Brazil, from Mexico, in the class. It was dope. And it was the first time that I was in a community with other like-minded people in this industry. And I was also being trained by other professionals who'd been in this industry. And it also led me to hiring my first business coach in that space too, and I was like, "Oh, this is where I'm supposed to be." Right. And it just started to open up other doors for me to realize that this is my path. And I was able to understand what it means to build trust with a client, which is at the core of being a consultant. What it means to take someone through a transformation. When I was a management consultant, we talked about going from a current state to a future state. I do the same thing with the women that I work with in their wardrobes. Your wardrobe might currently be in the state of 2008. I'm going to bring you to the future, 2024, and have you feeling bold and fabulous. Okay. I still do these same principles that I learned as a consultant still apply, right? Understanding how to communicate clearly with my clients, when I am doing corporate workshops and speaking engagements, understanding how to take these large ideas and boil them down into key takeaways that I know are going to be action oriented, that a woman could say, "I know I'm going to take this step and this step to move forward and getting a wardrobe that I desire," right? All of these skill sets came across now a crazy 20-year span of doing consulting work. But now, instead of doing it in IT, I do it in the wonderful space of style and image. FIT is the Howard of fashion education. Okay. That's right. The receipts and the credentials, pull them up. Pull them up, ladies. Pull them up and out. So I invite you to take a look at your path, your journey, your story, how you got to where you are. And where you are might not be where you want to be fully. I still got plenty of room and space that I want to grow in within my career. But it is important to understand your story and pull out what you've learned, because I can't tell you, I never would have thought that entering into management consulting would have the connection to the work that I do now. Never would have thought it, right? Or that I would have met a transformational client through that work. Never would have thought it. Okay. So your opportunities to transform your career personally and professionally, you have no idea how they're going to come. No idea. Okay. So be open to taking risks. Okay. Understand what a risk looks like for you and understand that it must be taken, and lean into what your friends and people close to you see in you that you don't see in yourself. That's huge, because again, sometimes you can be in such tunnel vision that we get blind to what is actually happening and what's actually of value. And that's the real thing that you should be doing, and that you're being called to do, personally or professionally. Yes, listen, y'all, the post, come on, Portia. Do you have pictures of old clients from back in the day? We'd love to see those in LinkedIn posts. Y'all, the way I try to pull up these old pictures, these 1999 laptops, they ain't built like the 2024 ones. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to go to some kind of store where they restore you know, technology and have the plugs and things. I can't even find all the stuff, but there is a hard drive that I need to pull up and go through, because I think there are some dope images there. And beautiful full circle moment. My client Denise that I worked with back in 2012, 2011 ish, we are now working together again. And I just had cocktails with her last night. Boop, boop, boop. So life is wonderfully fun and spontaneous. It's also challenging and overwhelming, but I think if you hold on, yes, this is recorded, Alana. Oh, that's amazing. I'm so glad that this is helpful. I think if you hold on to that path and that little inkling of a thing that keeps pulling you back to something else, like, it can be such a powerful nudge in the direction that that you are meant to be on. So that is my story. Those are the gems, and that's what we are dropping here on Live with Nana today. All right. So definitely let me know in the comments what was something that was helpful for you, or something that was a takeaway from you in what I shared. I would love to know it. If you're not comfortable putting in the comments, and you at work and you don't want them seeing your business, I get it. Drop me a DM. Let me know what was a takeaway that was really helpful for you in this in this live stream today. All right. And next week, we will be back here live with Nana, 9 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. And I have another fabulous special guest who will be joining me as well. So stay tuned for that. All right, y'all, have a great rest of the day. Peace.